The second warning he received from the UCI was a recorded warning he received on the 29th of June 2007, which resulted in the aforementioned fine. This warning came after a written warning issued on June the 11th with the explanation that he had provided updates too late for his, as we know today, pretended stay in Mexico from the 4th to the 12th of June. Rasmussen responded to this written warning, insisting that he had sent the updates on time, June the 4th. The most normal thing one would be doing after having received this explanation would perhaps be to take a closer look at the envelope and measure the two postmarks on it. But if you think that the person deserves a warning, perhaps that was not the best thing to do. So what was apparent may not have been the most convenient. Rasmussen, as said, responded to this written warning, insisting that the letter was sent on the 4th. The person who reviewed his explanation was Anne Gripper, the same person who issued the written warning. I think it's fair to say that this is not the highest standard of impartiality. It is understandable if the UCI's anti-doping commissioner became frustrated and furious when she received the late update, which rightly may have invoked the impression that Rasmussen was abusing the system and that he deserved to be punished for it. Perhaps that was the reason why she issued him a recorded warning immediately after the reception of his explanation, neglecting that he had posted his fixes update on time, June the 4th, instead of checking the postmarks on the envelope, and made it sound as if he was on the verge of a doping case by reminding him about the wrongly issued UCI warning and the two ADD warnings, despite the fact that Anti-Doping Denmark was the only national anti-doping organization who informed the UCI about warnings. I am not condoning or defending Rasmussen's fraud. What I am arguing, however, is that if he had been treated by the same standard as everybody else, this would only have been one isolated warning. And if his right to a fair evaluation had been protected with an independent review panel to review his explanation, it seems unlikely that even this written warning would have been recorded. It is a serious problem that anti-doping does not have the same separation between legislative, executing and judicial powers. When the Tour de France were over, there was apparently a need to sanction Rasmussen for an anti-doping rule violation. Otherwise, his exclusion from the Tour would be indefensible, and the image of cycling's anti-doping effort would be in tatters. So the UCI started proceedings, but it was not easy, because Rasmussen had in fact played by the rules, although he had exploited them. The English version of the guidelines, which came enclosed with the whereabouts forms he had to fill out, said the duly completed forms, as well as all updates, should be sent preferably by email, by fax, or by regular mail. Rasmussen had read this and understood that if he provided last-minute updates by regular mail, he could immunize himself from whereabouts warnings, which was convenient because the Danish Cycling Federation had made it a prerequisite for his participation that he did not receive any more warnings at for participation in the national team. At that time he had 2, the wrongly issued UCI warning and a correct but dubious one from Anti-Doping Denmark. Although, as we've just seen, the frequently asked question, the guidelines mentioned regular mail, the UCI denies that in their request for disciplinary proceedings to the Monaco Cycling Federation on the basis that within the UCI the French language is superior to English, and in the French version of the guidelines, updates by regular mail was not a prescribed method. Anyway, the fact is that if the UCI had not sent Rasmussen an English version in which regular mail was mentioned as an accepted way to update his whereabouts, he would never have been tempted to exploit that possibility. What we learn from this is that the legal principle in dubio pro reo has not only been suspended by the principle of strict liability, it has been suspended completely. Now, why was it that I mentioned that the first Anti-Doping Denmark warning was dubious? There is apparently no principles in Anti-Doping Denmark by which it is decided whether a written warning shall be recorded or not. It is a matter of taste and general impression of the character of the athlete in question. The fact that Rasmussen had questioned Anti-Doping Denmark's right to test him may not have raised his star within that agency. I interviewed another rider who had had a comparable situation as Michael. And when you see the outcome, you understand that we are a far cry from a level playing field. The impression of uneven conditions for athletes subjected to the whereabouts system was further strengthened when I read the Vogelsang report that a rider under another NAVO received a written warning for a situation identical to Michael Rasmussen's. This rider's written warning was also withdrawn without or after explanation. Now, to sum up the situation, when he entered the Tour de France, Rasmussen had 1 wrongly issued UCI warning for a filing failure, 1 dubious Anti-Doping Denmark for a missed test, 1 wrongly motivated UCI warning for a filing failure, and during the tour he had received another recorded warning from Anti-Doping Denmark for a missed test due to the obsolete whereabouts information they searched him by. All in all, 2 filing failures and 2 missed tests from 2 different anti-doping authorities. If we imagine that he had been a British rider and he had gathered the same number of warnings, all rightly issued by the UK sport, he would have had no problems whatsoever, according to the head of the UK sport, Operation Doping-Free Sport, Nicole Sabstedt, because they didn't the UK sport did not combine filing failures and missed tests. So the UCI would not have known about this. Now, Rasmussen was not British. His right to confidentiality had not been respected, so media pressure started to build up around him, and he was taken out of the race when the Italian TV commentator David Cassani confirmed he had seen him in Italy when he was suspected to be in Mexico on the grounds that he had lied to his team. This could not pass without additional sanctioning, of course.